Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am your co-host, Samantha Farlow with the Garrison Public Affairs Office.
And I am your co-host, Corporal Kyra Pearl with 11th Signal Brigade.
And I am another co-host, Specialist Garrett Dacko with 11th Signal Brigade. And you're listening to Fort Hood's
Great Big Podcast.
Welcome, y'all, to this week's episode. With us, we have two very special guests. Would you care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Specialist Owens.
I'm Staff Sergeant Beckwood.
And you all are with 1st Cav, am I correct?
Yeah, we're with 1st Cav, 1st Brigade, 212 Cav.
All right. And so we brought you in here today because you guys are very special. And by that, I mean you just came back from a mission. Do you mind telling me a little bit about that? Because I'm completely clueless.
Yeah, so we got selected along with some of our platoon from Charlie Company 28 that was attached to us to go to Indiana, Camp Atterbury, to help integrate a lot of the guests. We call them guests, but they are coming from another country,
right?
So we were just helping them integrate into our society.
Okay.
Essentially, that's really all.
So you're talking about the Afghanistan guests from Operation Allies Welcome?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Very awesome. So how was it out there? Can you tell us a little bit about, what you guys did, kind of?
For me personally, it was humbling. I imagine it was a culture shock for the guests, but it was a culture shock for some of us as well, seeing them and, knowing what they're, what they escaped and what they had gone through. And like I said, humbling to know that and seeing how happy the kids are, especially the kids, because it's like they probably don't even know what they just escaped.
Right.
And just seeing them happy and stuff and, just catering to soldiers and meeting a lot of good families, a lot of good men, and a lot of good women, a lot of nice children. And it was a humbling experience for me.
Awesome. Wow.
So could you tell us a little bit about what you did on a day-to-day basis while you were in the mission?
Yeah, we would take people to appointments. We'd make sure they make the appointments. We'd be in charge of the clothing tent to make sure they got their, I guess, quote unquote, daily rations for clothes and shoes and stuff like that. And we'd be in the COVID tent, kind of just helping facilitate the civilians that were helping do the COVID test, help facilitate the guests through, so that obviously the civilians working there weren't overwhelmed.
I didn't even think about COVID. Did that impact the mission too severely?
Not severely, but I don't know. It was tricky. It was essentially.
Maybe I can give a little bit more insight into this.
Okay.
In a medical team.
Okay. Yeah.
So part of what I did was I worked on the paperwork. It was called the Hummingbird system, where you would go in and you have to make sure that all the guest vaccines were updated, that they had gone to all of their appointments, because there was a process that they had to go through to be able to enter the United States. So I don't think they necessarily understood the importance of wearing a mask, and it does go against what they believe in. Some of these new vaccines that we've gone in, just kind of like how it is in America right now, where not everyone understands why the COVID vaccine is so important.
Right.
But our translators did do an excellent job of making sure that they understood why it was necessary. But I know when I would go, I was an escort into the female base that the females and the children lived, and they were all very crowded. It's not their fault. There were a lot of them. They have a very close family social aspect about them. So they all live very closely together, and they may or may not have always worn their mask while they were in there. So I think COVID definitely affected them, and it's only so much you can do. You can only ask them to put on a mask, but if they don't understand it, or they don't necessarily understand who you are and why you're there, then they're not necessarily going to listen to you. So we were able to vaccinate the good majority of them, but at the end of the day, you can't make someone social distance, and we didn't want to seem imposing on them.
Right.
No, of course. Not to mention, even if they were vaccinated, being in that close close quarters like that for so long with so many people, it's bound to spread like wildfire.
Especially like little kids. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
it doesn't matter who you are. A little kid is not going to want to wear a mask.
No.
Like, whether you're a guest or whether you're just a little American kid, like, you're not going to wear a mask. And, you know, I'm not going to go yell at a little kid and put your mask on, because those little kids are actually really cool.
Aw.
Yeah. So I guess back to like how it affected our mission. Thank you. It did, in the sense of us trying to outprocess guests off of the camp into society or to wherever their next move was. And a lot of people, they would try to avoid the guests. They would try to avoid getting the vaccination. So we couldn't outprocess the amount of people we were trying to, and, you know, our time
That makes sense.
frame, you know, so that, yes, it affected it in that sense. Absolutely.
Wow. And I can imagine that's a huge culture shock for them as well, you know, coming into a different country and being told all these rules and regulations where, you know, in their own countries, that's, you know, that's not part of their culture, right? They're very, like you said, they're very family oriented and they're very close. So I can imagine that was tough for them as well as you.
Oh,
I know. Ooh, I'm sorry.
sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Before we went, we all had a big brief, and where we all got to learn a little bit about their culture, and it was really fascinating. Just to understand why they do the things that they do. Like, for them, shaking hands with your left hand is actually considered rude, and it's considered unclean because that's the hand that you clean yourself with. So whenever you greet them, you're not supposed to greet with your left hand. So it was just little stuff like that. Like, the males, when they first got to meet a female soldier, they were a little standoffish. Understandably, that's just how they are.
Right.
But once they got to know you, like, they were perfectly fine. And I think that's an excellent representation of how willing they were to come in and just integrate into our society as a whole, and just to say, I want to be here, and I'm glad to be here, and thank you for helping me be here.
Wow, that's so cool.
No, yeah, I'm sure that there's so many small things that are just, there's so much to learn about anyone with any different culture. Just being in the Army itself, you visit different states and you meet people from all across the country within the same country, and there are different norms and things that everyone has. So I can't imagine the difference between countries. I know you mentioned earlier that you had translators. How big of an impact was the language barrier?
So I think it was a bigger impact for adult to adult rather than adult to children. They had language classes that they would go to, both the adults and the children, that they would go to several times a week. And they picked it up quickly, but what surprised me was how quickly the children picked it up. I mean, I could have full-blown conversations with some of them.
Wow.
And whereas they eventually would start translating for their parents.
Aw.
And we didn't need the translators
That's
anymore.
amazing.
So how old were most of the kids, or was it just everyone?
I noticed just a big group of everyone. What about you, Sergeant Beckwood?
Yeah, it was just a wide range. And every kid was different. You know, there's kids that spoke perfect English or spoke no English, or they were like in between, you know. But the translators definitely helped. They would go especially like for, I don't know how often you were in the barracks, but being in the barracks with all the guests, and you would have to go find people for their appointments, and you'd literally have to go like room to room and, hey, where's this guy at, or where's this lady at, or where's this, you know, child at?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to have a translator with you, because you're not going through those barracks by yourself, trying to talk to, you know, a bunch of guests that just don't speak English.
Right.
You know, so translators were huge. Kids were huge because they would help at the clothing tent. You know, like that because they spoke English, so they'd help out at the clothing tent and everything. Kids were a great help.
So I don't want to I don't want to make anybody feel bad by saying this. I know parents usually say this a lot, but did you guys have any favorites while you were there?
Definitely.
Did you?
Yeah, I had one favorite. His name was James. I think he ended up going to Ohio, but he was with his parents, all of his siblings. He moved in with his uncle that's also in the service, and he was a good kid. He helped me out the whole time.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he was great. Good kid.
I had a little girl. They knew, like, we had a schedule of when we go into the barracks. to walk around with the cleaners because the cleaners needed an escort in the female barracks. And she knew what time I was going to be there, and she would be waiting at the door for me. And I downloaded some games on my phone, and we would sit there and play phone games while the cleaners were cleaning, and she was just always so excited to see me, and I was just always so excited to see her. And the day she went to leave, she got on the bus, and she gave me a hug, and she said, "Bye, Owens. I'll miss you." And I just went home and cried.
That's so sweet. Oh my gosh.
That is really awesome that you guys had that experience to meet people, especially from a different country, right? And especially when they're in a vulnerable state like they were, and you get to completely change their lives like that, or, you know, that's amazing. So thank you for doing that, first of all. Because that's awesome.
It was a good experience. It was.
Yeah. So do you guys have any events that you kind of recall the best while you were out there?
Or anything that made a big impact on you?
Yeah.
For me, I guess working in the clothing tent and seeing how far some of these parents would go for their children to get clothes and like shoes and socks every day. And then of course if a new shipment hasn't come in yet and, you know, we're short on some things, you know, now you have upset parents that are just completely going out of their way. And like I said, it's humbling. It was sad, you know, just seeing how hard some of these parents are fighting just to get a pair of socks, you know, or 2 shoes for a child, you know. Right. It was sad, and it was humbling, you know. I guess for me, that was like the biggest thing, because I was at the clothing tent a lot, you know, so I saw that quite often.
Yeah, it kind of makes us look at our first world problems.
Exactly.
As maybe not that important.
Not too big of a problem. Yeah, exactly.
And I know you had a completely different job, so were there any moments that really impacted you?
Yes. After I moved out of the medical tent, I went to work in what was called the 100 block. It was the block where guests would be moving in there because they were leaving very soon. And I worked in the 100 block for about a month, and I was fortunate enough that I was one of the people that got to run the Toys for Tots for the children.
Wow.
So we had set up a whole bunch of toys, and all the little kids had lined up. And at this point, I've like started recognizing all the kids in my block. And we'd stand outside, and while we were waiting, because it was cold, like in Indiana's cold, I went out there and I got a soccer ball from the Toys for Tots, and while we were waiting for them to go in, I was playing soccer with them. And I'm pretty sure that's just like a core memory that's going to stick with me forever, because they just had so much fun. And those little kids, like, you wouldn't even be able to tell that they're from a different country, because a little kid's a little kid regardless where you go.
Right.
And all they want to do is just play soccer with me. And it was just so exciting to be able to like hand out these toys to them. And then afterwards I got to play with them. It was a good time, I think, for everybody.
That is so sweet.
Well, I'm very glad that you guys were able to come in here and share those stories with us. I definitely learned a lot. I had no idea this was even going on. I knew beginning when it started. I had no idea it was still going on. So that's incredible. And I'm so glad that you guys got to experience that. That's really cool. I hope I get to. Probably not. Probably not.
So when did you come back from this mission?
We came back, I want to say February 12th or 11th of this year.
Okay, wow. So pretty recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, I think it was January, actually.
I think it was late January.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was like January 11th.
Still this year. It's still pretty recent.
A month off, but yeah. I'd say it was January 11th we came back. And we're there from, I want to say October, like 25th for me through January 11th.
Okay, so I only ask this because as a mother, it really hits home to me. But you both mentioned a lot of kids and all of the amazing moments that you had and all of their big families. Were most of the families or all of the families able to stay together whenever they were relocated?
Yeah, they all, when they left, when they got relocated, all the families stayed together. It was an easy transition for all the families.
Okay, that's so heartwarming to hear. Just wanted to ease any panic because I was like, oh gosh, that'd be so scary.
Right. And especially with their culture being, like you guys said earlier, so family oriented. That's really amazing.
Of course. Well, I just wanted to thank you both so much for coming in and talking to us today and sharing your story. It has been amazing learning so much about this mission.
Yeah, well, no, we appreciate being here, and we're glad we got to share some of our stories with you guys. Thank
All
you.
right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is life? What's an honorable discharge? Sounds disgusting. Where'd my filing? Which end of the horse do I stick the carrot in?
Sporky asks a question.
I don't know. Hey, everybody. Sporky here, and I've got a big question. What is OPSEC?
Fork utensil. How is it that you don't know about operational security?
Annie Pumpkin. No need to be so formal. You can call me Sporky. All my friends do. And I know all about poo-poo-poo. But what is OPSEC?
Operational security's OPSEC, fork utensil.
Ooh, maybe it's OPSEC. That's spicy. Where do babies come from?
Fork utensil.
It must have something to do with the military and things. I know. I'll take pictures of stuff all over post and put them on the internet and ask, is this OPSEC? Is this OPSEC?
Fork utensil, you better
sure
not.
smells like OPSEC.
Look, there are 5 steps to OPSEC.
Oh.
Identifying critical information, identifying the threat,
Yeah.
assessing vulnerabilities,
Oh, yeah.
analyzing the risk,
Forky.
and developing and applying countermeasures.
What?
The
No.
OPSEC is pretty common sense, like not talking about troop movements or other sensitive things.
You mean it's a process by which organizations assess and protect information about things that could, if properly analyzed and grouped with other data by a clever adversary, reveal a bigger picture that ought to stay hidden.
That's exactly right, fork thingy.
Forky.
And like they used to say, loose lips sink ships.
Ooh, I love a good submarine joke, but seriously, where do babies come from?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Practicing good OPSEC is everybody's job. Protect your fellow service members. Don't be a sporky.
Well, that was such an amazing interview. I'm so glad we got to hear so much about that awesome mission. And just to address the elephant in the room, yes, Garrett is back, unfortunately.
Yeah, wow.
It was very
thanks.
peaceful here without you.
I bet it was actually.
It was
Very
quiet.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Quiet. You didn't have to tone the levels
No,
down
we
a
didn't.
bit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Must have been really boring.
So where
Wow.
were you? I'm sure our audience would love to know.
Yes, I was on a riveting trip
Ooh.
to California to visit family.
Aw.
Yes, spring break. No, it was it was basically just a family reunion.
Fun.
So that was fun. And the day after I got back, I got my wisdom teeth taken out.
Oh.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Very smooth.
That's nice. Did you do
Yes.
anything funny?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
They hooked me up to the IV and said, here comes the anesthesia, and I was like, all right, 1, 2, 3, and we're gone. and then waking up was like, I was just waking up from a really groggy nap.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go home.
Wow.
At least you didn't have a bad experience while you were under.
That is true. Yeah. So funny you say that. My mom, when she got hers pulled when she was younger, woke up in the middle of it.
Talk
Yeah.
about nightmare. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Nightmare fuel.
No.
So going in, I was
Terrified?
terrified.
Yeah.
She was like, she, I guess, has like enzymes or something that break down.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Anesthesia faster.
Right.
Yeah.
And so-
you don't know that until you know that.
Until you know it. And this was the first time I've ever gone under. So I was like, oh, please, God. I was like, please, don't take after my mom. Don't take after my mom.
That is terrifying. Oh my
So,
goodness. I
yeah.
never had mine pulled.
Oh,
It's
lucky you.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Honestly, the procedure, super smooth.
Yeah.
Like super smooth. It's the aftermath.
Mm.
Getting food stuck in those dang
Yes.
sockets.
Yes.
Do not get a dry socket.
No.
Pray to God you don't. I haven't yet. I say yet because it's still, early. And it's just really fun having 4 holes in the back of your
Yeah.
mouth.
Okay, so I had mine pulled. And when I had mine pulled, my mom has this video of me, naturally. Apparently, I really wanted to put chapstick on afterwards, and you can't feel your mouth.
Yeah.
So I'm like guiding the chapstick with my finger in front of it. My mom's like, what are you doing? I was like, it really chapped lips right now, Mom. I got to put this on.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is priceless.
Yeah. So
I didn't
that's
do
floating
anything,
around
I didn't do
out
anything
there.
funny. I was
That's
really
too bad.
bummed.
Yeah. Well, you
Oh,
know,
well.
that's okay.
It was okay. But now I don't, now I'm in pain
Yeah.
because I don't have any more prescription.
Yeah.
So,
That sucks.
yeah.
But
so,
at least you're back at work.
That's so
yes,
true.
Yes. Thank
Yes.
goodness
We
I'm
missed
back.
you.
Something to distract you from the pain.
Yeah. Bummer. I know I talk for a living too. This is great. Go take some Motrin.
Oh my goodness.
Well, other than Garrett's arrival, or
yes.
return, rather, I should say,
Yeah.
other
Re-arrival.
things that have happened recently
Yeah.
have been the ongoing fires here at
Yes.
Fort Hood.
Yeah, so it was not a controlled burn. It was from the range. Someone was out shooting, started a small fire, and it's obviously grown a lot.
Those darn soldiers.
I know. At this point, we are recording, obviously, in advance. So at this point, the fire is still not out, but they are hopeful that it should be out soon. They are working diligently. They were working diligently. So if you at this point want updates or things have not completed, either way, you can find all that information on the Fort Hood Press Center, which is www.forthoodpresscenter.com. And of course, you can always follow us on Facebook at U.S. Army Garrison Fort Hood, and we always have information there.
Love that current information.
That's right. Speaking of current information.
And speaking of the Fort Hood Press Center,
Yeah.
Dun,
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 dun. We have someone with us.
Hi.
Can you introduce yourself?
It's Blair from the Sentinel.
Hi, Blair from the Sentinel.
Hello.
so it's that time of the month again.
It is the end of the month.
So we get to talk about traveling soldier. Where did you travel to this month?
Okay, so man, I gotta think back. We went to the Salado Museum at the beginning of the month. Our design editor Chris covered a Renaissance festival for people that are into that, and then I went to the Williamson County Museum in Georgetown, then Crossroads Park in Temple, and most recently at the Bluebell Creamery in Brenham.
Oh wow, it's a lot
Yeah.
of places.
Bluebell Creamery.
Have you not heard of that?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. So any native Texan knows that Bluebell, like Dr. Pepper, is
It's amazing.
yes.
Trust me. I've only been here 3 years and I already love Bluebell and I've always loved Dr. Pepper. Continue,
Yes.
please.
So you can go to Brenham. It's about, hour to 30 minutes, depending on where you are in College Station, south of College Station. And they make the ice cream there. They have a museum. You can go to their ice cream parlor and try some yourself, all that good stuff. So we, I did some other traveling soldiers on the way there, so those are coming. But
Ooh.
yeah, but
Action-packed day.
That's right.
yes, but yeah, it's a Texas thing. The university I went to, Mary Hardin Baylor, we had Crunella that they made because we were the Crusaders, and it's purple vanilla ice cream.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
So-
fun.
I love puns.
Crunella. Yeah, so it was fun. They have an observation deck, so you can walk through and see the production happening. But the tour closes at 2, and we got there at 2 o'clock. Yeah, so yes, but even after that, it was still a really popular spot. There were a lot of people, up there eating ice cream and, just walking around the museum. They've got, they've been open 115 years now.
Whoa,
Wow.
that's a long time.
Yeah, so they have from start to finish and kind of how they grew in this town that's still relatively really small. So, it was cool to see. I went when I was younger, so it was nice to kind of revisit it again.
Wow.
But yeah,
Do you have a favorite Bluebell flavor?
I do. It's crazy cookie dough. It's like bright yellow. ice cream, and it's got neon pink and green and blue sugar cookie bits in it.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, so it's super, super sweet.
I bet.
Yeah.
Look, I have
Feel
a
the
sweet
sugar
tooth,
rush.
but I could already feel the cavities
Like
forming.
I love that flavor like so much.
My favorite's cookie two-step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm right there with you with the cookies.
Okay. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Just different kinds.
Yeah. Do y'all have a favorite ice cream?
I don't remember if I've had Bluebell ice cream, to be honest. I'm
Wow.
like, yeah, I know. I'm feeling ashamed as I listen.
Blair's giving you the stank eye.
I will try it.
Okay.
I've learned the importance as of this episode.
Yes.
I always love mint chocolate chip. That's my favorite.
Really?
Yep.
Mint chocolate chip.
Yep.
It's a strange flavor.
That's what my roommate
It's
got.
a good flavor.
Yeah.
I love it. Don't get me
Delicious.
wrong.
That and I just like the plain vanilla as well.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
boring.
If I don't get
but,
the cookie dough, it's the
it's a
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
It's a crunella.
It's either boring
Yeah.
or
That's
neon
right.
crazy cookies.
Yeah, true.
Well, look, you don't want to have your cookies and ice cream separate, so you put them together. It's best of both worlds.
Were
No.
there any other traveling soldiers that stuck out to you this month?
Well, Crossroads Park in Temple. I hadn't been to the trail part because there's tennis courts out there and we play tennis. But there's a whole walking path out there that's crazy long, and then they've got open soccer fields, and there's batting cages, and I didn't realize how big of a park it was, but I highly recommend the tennis courts, and the walking trail's really nice. There's lots of people out there with dogs, and they have a disc golf course. If you're into that, I suck at it. I tried, and I will not be quitting my job anytime soon to do that professionally. But there were a lot of people out there, so it's a popular place. The Salado Museum was nice. They have a cat named Grace, I believe, that kind of roams around the museum, and she gave us the unofficial tour. She was
Yes.
walking with us along top of the displays. And they have the Salado College ruins that's like part of the museum, but it's outside. And you can walk around the ruins of the college, and they've got little informational things out there. Williamson County, they tour their courthouse, and they actually had a random exhibit about how people, dealt with death in the Victorian time frame. So I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought it was kind of random, but they actually, one thing I thought was interesting, if someone passed away, they actually either covered mirrors in the house or turned them to the wall because they thought they would get trapped in the mirrors.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought
Mirrors
that was
freak me out
interesting.
already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have heard that.
And then people had to wear certain clothes. I think women had to wear black for a certain amount of time, I think a year.
Yeah, that sounds
And then
right.
they could go to, other darker colors like navy or whatever. So I thought that was interesting.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine the scandal when you wear navy a day too early.
I
know.
Shame.
Shame on your family.
Shame on you. Shame on your family. Shame on your cow.
Well, it's just weird that they had a mandated amount of time for you to visibly mourn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's so interesting
Yeah, it
and
was very
random for an exhibit.
Yes. I mean, because a lot of it, is agriculture and cattle and stuff just because of the area. So
And then
you go
death.
from
And then Victorian age death.
you go from chuck wagons and branding and all that, and then it's Victorian death. And I was like, okay.
Interesting.
Oh, we're going here now. Okay.
I'm here for it.
It's I didn't expect this, but I'm here. So I'll roll with it.
So if you're into death,
This is the place for you.
And agriculture.
Yes.
yeah, two totally different sides of the spectrum. My goodness. Well, sounds like fun.
Yes. Yes. Lots of informational museums, so I was happy I could break it up with the fun museum. it's still a museum, but I mean, you get ice cream at the end.
Yeah.
Any museum you get some at the end, it's a good.
Exactly.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Especially if it's ice cream.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like to walk
Kidding
away
me?
with a treat.
On it, Dr. Pepper Museum is pretty cool too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like just to push this even harder, they, one scoop is $1. Okay, so me and my roommate walked off. It's like, oh, okay, we'll get 2 scoops. It's fine. There's like a small mac and cheese size at Chick-fil-A. I'm being so weird right now, but roll
really
with me.
loves Chick-fil-A,
That size of
so.
a container, like heaping full,
Oh.
is 1 scoop.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so the girl was like, she put it up there. She's like, this is 1 scoop. Are you sure you want to do it? I was like, no, I'm good. Thank you.
That's so kind of her to
I
ask.
was like, that's perfect.
And you can't.
totally
I would be. Give me 3 more.
That's insane.
Can you put it in a baggie for me to take home?
You're like balancing this like scoops of
absolutely.
Bring a cooler with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you kidding me?
He's ready to make the cartoons a reality.
oh yeah.
My favorite thing when I used to work in fast food was getting the ice cream that comes out of the machine as tall as possible. Oh my God. And I do it for like our favorite, regular customers. And I'd make these monstrosity of cones. It could barely fit. And I was working the drive-through. It could barely fit in their car window. Yeah.
I love it.
It was awesome.
That's a mess waiting to
Oh, it
happen.
was so much
Yes,
fun.
it is.
Yeah, so
Oh
much fun.
wow! I thought you were gonna say it was just like getting the perfect. That was my
Yeah, the
favorite
little,
way
like,
to
I did
curly
that
ice
too.
cream.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I did that too, but then it was really interesting when it became the leaning tower of
Ice cream.
ice cream. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, here we go. Grab some cups. Yeah, so,
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
yeah, I love ice cream's my favorite.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my favorite flavor from Bluebell, long time ago. They don't have it anymore, but the town I grew up in, there was a burger barn. Yes, a barn. And
An actual barn?
yes, it was inside of a barn.
Oh,
Okay.
And after I ate my pizza burger, we got
I have so many more questions.
they had it's crazy colors. It's kind of the same concept except it's bright yellow, bright red, and bright
So
blue.
neon's your thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like in just other things, but only
for ice
Bluebell
cream.
ice
Just
cream.
ice cream.
Just ice cream. Neon ice cream.
But yeah, like either way, like just it turns your whole tongue blue, and it's it's a fun experience. So don't plan to go out anywhere afterwards if you get any crazy colors.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'll stick to my very bland colors, but very good taste.
Yeah. Nothing
Bluebell ice
wrong
cream.
with that.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking around for the Bluebell commercial. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, for real. Hey, I'm texting. I'm gonna push Bluebell as much
Bluebell,
as I
Dr.
can.
Pepper.
Oh
and
yeah.
What else?
I
Football.
literally was like, I have to get back in the truck and wash this down with my Dr. Pepper. I looked at my roommate. I was like, we have to go now. I need my Dr. Pepper.
That is the most Texan thing I've ever
I
heard.
was gonna say the staples of Texas.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man, that's amazing.
Well, I think that's all we have. Does anyone have anything else?
No, I gotta go get some Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Some ice cream.
I got some ice cream to go get. So. All right. Well, thank you, Blair, for coming on.
Yes, thank you very much.
We will see you actually next week
Yes.
for our book and movie of the month.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Hood and Fort Hood Public Affairs production. The show's theme music is written and produced by Delicious All-Stars. All our music is obtained through Filter by Songtrader. Have a question or want to share some insights with us? Email us at forthoodpao@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at USAG Fort Hood. And as always, be sure to leave a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.